Where we last left off, things were starting to look slightly up for us if you ignore the bomber in the middle of Grit's base. Actually, scratch that, things definitely aren't looking up for us. Well, at least Max is approaching the death ray, but anyway. You know what? Am I going to need anti-airs or missiles? You know what? I have enough for 2 missiles. And, okay, this is going to guarantee that bomber dies, because, yes, it shows that if it hits one of the 2, it will be in range of the other one. So this will guarantee that bomber dies, because at least one full HP missile will get through. Unscathed, I mean. And there's that useless fighter that really never did anything besides fill up Sturm's super meter, which actually was probably intentional. So, speaking of bombers, Kanbei's got another one in his territory. Whoops, not anymore! Ha ha ha! Goodbye, bomber. I will not miss you in the slightest. Actually, I think that's the one that's been plaguing me since pretty much the start, so good thing to finally get rid of that thing. I don't think we really need to force Sturm to spend any more of his funds anymore. Ah, see, now I do 30%. See, now this does make an impact even if he does repair. 7. I could do a little bit more. Oh, I can actually get a full HP tank in there, and considering this is a Kanbei tank, come on, kill it. Yes! Nice one! Okay, now I just need to block off that base. And get whatever's blocking destroyed by that medium tank. Yeah, let's just finish you off. Don't want to be charging Sturm's super meter too much, but now that he's already used it twice, it is going to take a little while to charge up. Okay, this thing's probably going to get completely annihilated, but I don't really care. Kanbei doesn't have to worry about technique score that much, and if I can at least slow him down, that'll be cool. So yeah, looks like Kanbei is actually breaking through Sturm's initial attack and is now actually starting to pretty much launch an offensive of his own. Sadly, this mission will probably be over by the time he actually does get a good offense going, but it just goes to show that as intimidating as Sturm's initial assault seems, it can be beaten. Kind of interesting, actually, now that you think about it. Meanwhile, Max has a Neo tank now, and the Blocker Copter is still there. Yep, still there. Still there. Yeah, that's really, really bad. Hi, anti-air. Bye, anti-air. Yeah, kind of had to do that. And speaking of anti-airs, I could really use one right now. Hello, Blocker Copter. Maybe you'll finally die soon. And to think that if this thing was not there, or if I had an anti-air to take it out, maybe, just maybe, I might have actually been able to finish this a few days earlier, but as it stands, foiled again by the Blocker Copter. Such a troll move, seriously, like, just look at it, like, the AI knows just how trollish that move was. It's keeping it there. They're not moving it or anything. They're perfectly content to just sit it right there and waste all my turns on killing it. Like, seriously, like, that is just evil. That is just pure evil. Don't want to get shot by rockets. I'll just move over there. And yeah, now interesting thing about Sturm that I just sort of thought of is that I've gone back and watched footage of the final mission of the first game, and that one was quite interesting in that, like most of the missions in the first game's campaign mode, it was very heavily pre-deploy centered. And, like, centered on, you know, well, that's pretty much, I pretty much explained that anyway. Which is interesting because not a lot of missions in this campaign are pre-deploy focused. But that one, Sturm had a very large pre-deploy force coming at you. In this mission, his main assault consists of a huge income advantage and an actual force that he deploys himself rather than pre-deployed. So it's kind of the exact opposite, and yet it's still just as deadly. At least this time you actually get the liberty of choosing your commanders for that one, rather than having them, well, I kind of had a feeling this one would do that, I just sort of thought of it. But yeah, rather than having them predetermined by a series of major guide dangits throughout the campaign. Yeah, that was just, kind of weird, like... Granted, the ones that are the sort of hardest to get are actually some of the better ones. Well, except maybe Olaf. Like, I've heard that Like, basically, apparently, getting Olaf for the final mission in the first game involves beating a certain mission by route that you really aren't supposed to beat by route, like, as in, the game really, really wants you to win by headquarters capture, and you've got to actually beat it by destroying all enemies. Or, apparently, on the hard campaign, that mission is to S-rank it. Please don't survive with 1 HP. Oh, come on! Literally a sliver of health left. At least my 1 HP missile can kind of prove useful! Or I could just leave it and let him go back and retreat it back to his headquarters. Then again, by the time Max hits the main base, I want to have as few enemy units there as possible, and if that bomber gets repaired by the time Max hits there, that could be bad. So, hey, guess what? Guess my 1 HP missile wasn't that useless after all. Goodbye, bomber. And please tell me that didn't. Okay, good. Okay, now I'm pretty sure Sturm is going to get another Meteor Strike before we're done here, but hopefully Grit will be able to concentrate missiles and rockets in a formation so that Sturm's Meteor will be forced to hit it, and not Max's Medium and Neo Tanks, because we really need those. Yeah, I ended up having to go for Neo Tanks, mostly just tank spam to take out the Death Ray. Normally I use bombers, but I don't know, I guess I just didn't need to here. I guess I just felt that tanks kind of worked better for me, considering that I already got that first base. Now, yeah, speaking of these cannons, I should probably mention that on the hard mode version of this mission, you really do want to destroy the cannons because they're pointing backwards, so their firing arc is into Sturm's base rather than away from it, meaning that you pretty much have to take them out if you want anything to reach the Death Ray unscathed. You know what, one day I might actually do a run of the final mission on hard mode here, because it's actually very different to the normal mode version. Like, the objective is the same and all that, but the layout of the map is really, really different. And weirdly enough, when I first played this game, I actually found the hard mode version of Final Front easier than the normal version. I'm not sure if that was just because I was a better player by then, or if it actually genuinely was easier, but ha! Take that, Blockcopter! Die, you monstrosity! Finally! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! I hope you rot in hell. Yeah. And that's enough of that. Finally, we're free! We're free of the trolling menace that is Blockcopter! Finally! Ah! Yes. Yes! Oh, that feels such a relief. Now, we can pretty much... We've now broken through that area, and I probably want to damage these rockets quite considerably, because otherwise they could be a problem. And now all that's left is to break through a couple of layers of pipe seams to get into Sturm's main base. Now, yeah, using bombers is generally better for this, because they can, in fact, one-shot pipe seams, and... yeah, Eagle kind of has an easier time breaking in here, but it's, you know, not like Max is bad at it by any means. Hey, remember that thing I said before about how humiliating it is to be finished off by infantry? Well, how do you like being on the receiving end? Seriously, you want to show absolutely zero mercy to Sturm because he's just pure evil. Day 6... Oh, that Neo Tank is repairing itself. That could be bad because it's perfectly positioned to. And of course, he has exactly enough funds to get another Neo Tank if he so wants, or another bomber. Please don't get one back at your headquarters. Uh-oh, that could be bad. Oh, very bad. Very, 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 very bad. Okay, admittedly, those missiles had served their purpose, but still, wow, that was very bad. You go down there. Yeah, I may have mentioned this before, but the AI always seems to have a certain order as to how they move their units. They always move, as you can see, he's moving his indirects now, and then, yeah, it was like, after that, copters and then infantry, then, interesting. Now, yes, Max has free reign to basically smash through here. We really want to take out these pipe seams as fast as we can. Unfortunately, Grit won't help with that. Now, Grit's role with this mission is actually pretty much done. Like, he's really fulfilled his main objective, which is to keep Sturm away from the two bases on that island at all costs. Really, Grit's main job was just to survive. Survive and be a meteor magnet. And, well, he's going to be doing that soon, because 2 missiles and a rockets all in one area, that's certainly a very tempting target for Sturm's meteor strikes, so I'm going to want to capitalize on that. Hey, I can go for a morale boost if I want, but probably not. I seem to remember vaguely that in Advance Wars 1, morale boost took ages to charge up, but it was pretty ridiculous back then. Of course, not as ridiculous as... I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before, but I guess since I'm using Max now, that could be worrying, very worrying. Oh well, I'll get shot by the cannon as well, but very worrying in that will give Sturm a lot of super meter, but heck, I'm going for it. Anyway, like I was saying, have I mentioned before, considering I'm using him in this final battle, I guess it's now... Wow, he's only got 1 star left. Uh-oh. I guess, you know, now's as good a time as any. I may have mentioned this before, but... Speaking of Advance Wars 1, Max was ridiculously broken in that game. Seriously, he got 50% offense on all his direct units. That was better than Kanbei, and he didn't have the crippling drawback. I mean, his indirects in that game not only had less range, they also had weaker defense, but still, it really didn't matter. When you got 50% offense on all direct units, and when he used his power, he had like, what, 80% on everything? Like, that's just completely insane, and... This game nerfed him quite considerably, but I do agree that he really did need the nerf, because, oh, yeah, 90%, not quite enough for a one-shot. And yeah, even, it's actually probably not as worth it to use the Neo Tank there, because, medium tanks are actually going to two-shot them the same as Neo Tanks, so, yeah. Of course, he doesn't gain any more power meter from hitting pipe seams, thankfully, otherwise things could get really bad. Now those mechs are probably not going to be doing much, but if that Neo Tank gets repaired, things could be bad. Speaking of Neo Tanks... Oh, I love doing that. Neo Tank machine guns are just so ridiculously powerful. And yes, almost as ridiculously powerful as Max Wars back in Advance Wars 1. Nice segue there. Oh, seriously, he was so broken in that game. Just so broken. Like, really? Like, again, like, he got nerfed really, but I'm actually kind of glad, because he was pretty ridiculous. Okay, yeah, just making some more troops just to pump up my technique ranking, and hey look, guess I'm not the only one who can be a troll and block off stuff, haha, now you can't use that base. And that thing's getting dangerously close to actually being useful again, which is a bit of a problem. I kind of forgot that he had cities in front of those cannons that he could use for repairs, because, yeah, that could be an issue, especially if he swings around and hits my Death Ray Assassination Force from behind. Okay, wait a minute. Hopefully that ball will be out of Sturm's main base before I manage to break in, because if it's still in there by the time I get in, that could end very badly. See, even now, I can still fail this quite easily if I don't do things just right. Like, I very easily could fail this. Oh, don't tell me that second Battlecopter is going to try and block again. You are not creating Blockocopter the second, Sturm. You won't. I'm not going to let you. I am not going to let you. Okay, yeah, I've got to make sure that... Okay, and I always have to pay attention to exactly what he is producing up at his main base, because if he makes something that's really bad for my, for Max's tank force, then... yeah, I need to maybe hold off my attack a little bit. Now, as far as going for a perfect speed score is concerned, they're actually quite generous with giving you the perfect speed score. You'll see how many turns that it takes me, but they're actually fairly generous with it, so don't be afraid to take your time when it comes to going for the perfect speed score, because, yeah, they are actually pretty generous with it. So, yeah, like they are with a lot of difficult maps, except annoyingly Sinking Feeling. Ugh. I mean, that one's already timed, but they, for some reason, decide that you've got to do it faster than they expect you to in order to get a perfect score. Ugh, that was annoying. Uh-oh, yeah, okay, now hopefully Grit is able to lure that Meteor. Because if he's not, that could be very, very... stupid cannon. See, this is part of the reason why I'm not really launching much of an offense with Kanbei here, because... yeah. But, well, at least on the plus side, considering that Sturm already has his power meter filled, we don't have to worry about doing as much damage as we want this turn. We can just destroy as many of his things as we want to, and we don't have to worry because his meter is already full. Is there a base up there that's... no, there's just a couple of cities. Once again, that airport and that base there, when I first played this, I really tried to go for them, and it never ended well, so, I don't really recommend it. If you're going for bombers, I would recommend just using the airport back at your the one that you start with, and breaking through. Now, 2 mediums and a Neo. Okay, 2 mediums, a Neo, and a battlecopter. Okay, careful there. If I get that other Neo tank in the cluster, to the point where it's within that diamond radius that's affected by Sturm's Meteor Strike, that could be very bad. Now, looking here, I have 2 artillery, a rocket, and a missile. That would be 12,000 plus 14,000 plus another 12,000. 12,000, 12,000, yeah, 24,000 plus a rocket, which is 14,000, would be 38,000, plus a 1 HP one of those, which is an extra 12 on top. Hopefully that is, that's almost 40,000, so hopefully that's more than the value of the units that Max has up there. So 2 mediums and a Neo, and a battlecopter. Damaged battlecopter, but still. Hopefully it does go for there. But anyway, I just better hope so, because if they get hit, well, I'm not entirely screwed, considering that I still have another Neo tank behind. I left that one behind, obviously, because if that one got hit by the Meteor 2, then I very much would be screwed. But fortunately, though, I am not. Yet another generic villain quote there, but it's intimidating enough because Meteor Strike number 3, I believe this is. And once again it hit grid. Oh, wait a minute, that other rocket was in it. Oh, that must be why. So there was actually 2 rockets in that clump. That was definitely why. So yeah, that one... And now Sturm has, like, ridiculous stats on all of his units, so that tank is actually starting to hurt him quite a bit. And this could hurt quite a bit too. Okay. Okay, good. That bomber is probably far enough that it won't actually double back to the base, which is good, because if it was a little closer, it might have, if he'd seen my forces invading there, and that could have been very, 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 very bad. Very bad. So... just make sure that he doesn't deploy anything too... Uh-oh, okay, he's finally started to press his assault on the central island again. Let's see what he gets. Just an artillery? Really? Okay, that works. Now, again, here it's kind of funny, because we really don't, we really don't have much to do with Grid at this point. Just kind of deny him some... Why is that... Oh, that's interesting. So, I never noticed this before. The cities here use the orange star background in battle. That's actually kind of interesting. Because, yeah, I mean, this is a sort of island in the middle of nowhere that Black Hole claimed as their main base, so... It would be kind of cool if they actually made a Black Hole city architecture. I can kind of imagine that being very all, you know... Probably some kind of, you know, futuristic-y, full of weird domes and stuff like that. That would kind of look cool, but still. Considering that they just capture other people's stuff, they don't really have their own stuff as much. Well, actually something that I haven't mentioned before. Black Hole's unique unit designs actually permeate in this game. In the first game, Black Hole actually used palette swaps of Orange Star, just Orange Star troops but black. Which actually made a lot of sense, considering that they were trying to trick everyone else into thinking that Orange Star, well, into posing as other countries, so it does make sense for them to be palette swaps, like, and apparently in story they actually were formed using stolen Orange Star technology, so that's probably why, and then in this game they've finally actually brought their own army, which is again why Black Hole actually has its own commanders in this game, as opposed to just Sturm. Well, and Clone Andy, but he doesn't really count, because he just played the same as regular Andy, just with a palette swap. But anyway, things are slowly approaching their climax. Kanbei is pretty much ready to push right into Sturm's territory, but I don't think he's really going to need to, because, yeah, Max is through. Now, what I want to do here is... Sorry, what I want to do here is, I want to block off as many of Sturm's properties as I can, just to discourage him from deploying any more units. Now, yeah. Also, might want to do as much damage as I can and weaken a few units, because the next turn, if I use Max's normal power, I might be in range of one of my Neo-Tanks to the Death Ray. Now, if that happens, I may as well go ahead for the normal power and just try and kill as much as I can to see if I can beat my previous record for the power score, just to see if that does help. Now, slight spoiler alert, it's a good thing I did this, because, well, let's just say it actually did help. Let's just say that my first attempt at getting that power score earlier, that would not have been sufficient. I'll tell you how I know this later on, but, yes, let's just say that that wouldn't have actually worked. So it's a good thing that I decided to go for this. Now, let's just spam infantry to jack up the technique score. Yeah, I know it is kind of cheap, but I sort of have to. I mean, seriously. This mission is already cheap enough as it is. I don't really feel bad doing cheap tactics here. But next turn looks like it possibly could be the last. Unless something really, really, really downright evil happens here. Infantry getting hit by cannons, wow. And that Neo-Tank is fully repaired, and Grit has a bomber coming towards him, but I don't think either of them is actually going to make an impact, because... Oh, artillery. Why does he like sending his artillery into Max's area? It's kind of weird. But anyway, never did actually capture that second neutral base with Max. Much would have rather the other base that's closer to enemy territory, the one that I did get early on. Now, if there's anything you should take from this, it's when you're doing things my way, like using one on the right to go for the Death Ray, get that base as early as you can. Mostly because you don't want Sturm getting it, but if you do manage to get it, it actually forms a really good vantage point, so, oh, that thing's gonna die, isn't it? Yep, dead. Well. Well, looks like these are going to be the last few casualties of the war. Don't worry, man, it'll all be over soon. Almost got me thinking that, you know, maybe some of these generic soldier guys actually have families back home and stuff they're, eager to get back to, but... Anyway, now suddenly makes me feel really, really bad for sacrificing a few of them, so let's just stop that train of thought there, and let's just, okay, take this thing out, because, I don't want Sturm getting any of these bases here. And if I play my cards right, that bomber is not going to have a chance to hit me, so that should be very, very, very good. I'm really glad that it came down here before, Max got into the base, because actually maybe Blockocopter was a blessing in disguise, because if Blockocopter hadn't blocked me, I would have probably got into Sturm's base a few turns earlier, and that would have been probably nicer and more show-offy for the speed ranking. But maybe that ball would have been in there at the time that Max got in there, and that would have been very bad, considering that I didn't have an anti-air escort for those tanks. Now, Kanbei, probably going to be his last turn. Seems like the kind of time to maybe use a normal power here, but, there really isn't much for me to do here, so I'm just going to say, hey, look what I can do. I can run right into your territory. Yay! Unfortunately, I never got to take my sweet revenge on these cannons, but, like, really, destroying the cannons is mostly completely unnecessary, so don't do it. Especially those mini cannons up the top that really aren't necessary, because they're not covering the base or that airport, so you can deploy things out of there no problem, and they won't really pose much of a threat to you. And let's just make more units. Now it is finally time. Now, I actually I didn't want to be too cheap here. I actually did make a save state here just to test if going straight for the power requirement here really would make a difference. Turns out it did, but thankfully, well, okay, here's the thing. I only went back on that save state out of curiosity after I'd already done this. So, yeah, I think I made a save state there, but I didn't actually reload it until I'd already done it and found out, well, what this max force achieved. Out of curiosity, I went back and did this turn without going for the power score. And, well, you'll see later on. I'll talk about that later. For the time being, though, yes, I can reach the death ray, and yes, I can one-shot this. I could end this mission right here, right now, if I wanted to. But I don't want to. I'm going to go for the power score again. And it's a very good thing I did, which I'll mention later. So, 1. Now let's see. Doubling up on this thing should hopefully kill it. If I don't, probably the copter will be able to take it down. Come on. Okay, that thing's not in range of that 1 HP infantry, which seems like a very tempting target, but nothing's in range of it annoyingly. Oh, this could be exactly enough. Come on, do it. 2. Okay, let's see. We've got to get more than 5 here. 5 was our power record last time, so we've got to actually keep going for this. Right, 5 HP infantry. Okay, I can almost certainly get 3 with this anti-air here. Nope, that's not going to work. Yeah, now I was just thinking, should I kill the copter or should I kill that infantry? Because if I kill that infantry, there's a possibility that I could actually get the 1 HP one behind it. In fact, I'd probably be able to do that anyway. I was just doing a lot of thinking here. I had to plan this out in advance just so that my units didn't step on each other's toes here, because I really need to make sure that I do get this. 3, that is 3. At least I'm pretty sure that's 3. And right then, if any of these can reach the 1 HP, yes, they can. I've almost certainly got 4 here. 4. Now, I am definitely guaranteed to get 5, so I'm guaranteed to equal my old score, but can I beat it is the real question. Now, the thing that I really milled over here is it possible to take out that 4 HP rocket with a combination of the 2 HP tank and my infantry? That is the real question here. 80% and 11%. That's just 1% short. But I'll take this thing out and go for 5. So, 5. I've equaled my old score for power. I have equaled my old score. Now let's see if I can beat it. Actually, I almost certainly can. Because I'm going to be able to take that thing out, that artillery down there. Let's see if I can get this thing. Come on. 3. Oh, that's going to be cutting it fine. Very fine. Come on, 2 HP tank. I believe in you. You can do this. Come on, 2 HP tank. Oh, no. So, no 6 there. Damn it. Now, if that had worked, I probably could have gone for 7, but I'm going to get 6 anyway, almost certainly. So, let's just... Nah, I can't take out anything else, sadly. So, looks like I'm going to be getting 6 here. But the real question is 6 units enough? We'll find out in a moment. So this thing's almost certainly going to get destroyed by the medium tank. Good thing I did that earlier. And good thing Sturm just put this in the middle of Max's base. Very nice. If it weren't for this, well, you'll see. So that's 6. And now, it looks like there's nothing... Why did I do that? It looks like there's nothing else to do. Nothing else left, except maybe spam infantry from all of my bases. Nothing else left. That 1 copter can't reach anything. So, I probably can't... I could go for 7 with that Neo tank, but I don't want to waste this. If I did that, it would take me an extra 2 turns to win this mission, because without the effects of Max's super, Neo tanks... Well, without the effects of Max's normal power, Neo tanks cannot one-shot the Death Ray, so it would take an extra 2 turns, and I really don't want to risk that. I'm fine as it is, so here we go. Bang! And the mission is done! Finally! Let's sit back and enjoy the ending. And the... Oh, you might notice the music actually reset there, which is kind of interesting. The normal power theme always plays for this story event, but because the normal power theme was already playing, because I'd actually used one, it has to kick in again. And yes, the 3 commanders that you choose for this mission all say specific quotes for this, so yeah. And satisfying kaboom! And we've random generic Orange Star Soldier, finally. Wow, that's the most emotion Nell has shown us in quite a long time. But yes, we've finally done it. Sturm has been defeated again. Unfortunately... Uh-oh. Okay, that's not good. That's really, really not good. So, I'm not sure, like, whether or not Sturm is a cyborg or not, but, I mean, he's planning to suicide bomb himself at any rate. Okay, Andy is about to do something that I do admit is a little stupid, but you gotta admit that he does have guts, especially that line there. Like, okay, Andy has certainly got a lot better since the first game, and Olaf's got a lot more concerned about others. And what do we have here? Haven't seen you in a long time. Proving it's never too late for a curveball. Yes, Sturm was in fact killed by someone on his own side. For some reason I find the worst villains always do tend to be. But it wasn't like Hawk was on the good side all along or anything. He just did that because he thought that he was more rightful of commanding than Sturm was. At this point, he's actually really starting to remind me of the Black Knight from Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. That is very much the Black Knight's philosophy in a way. And the Black Knight is also, yeah, a enigmatic right-hand man of the big bad. So what, he was just testing us all this time? And no bonus rival mission for us in this one, sadly. Yeah, I don't think there's anything to gain from fighting any longer. I mean, that mission was evil enough as it is. I want to get some rest after that. Well, they still have a huge amount of bases, but yeah. Well, Flak's going. Lash 2. Ada seems a little reluctant, but yeah, it looks like they're still on his side. And so they've left. Yes, I wonder if there'll be another sequel, hint hint. So yeah, we're ending on a blatant sequel hook here. Yep, we'll have to spend some time developing a game for an entirely new system. Believe me, Andy, I'm in disbelief as much as you are. And once again, we have classic Andy. And I love this line here. Oh, I love that line. And on that, we end this with the best victory theme ever. And yes, I am in shock as much as you are. After over 10 attempts at this, and after all those months spent trying to beat this mission in my childhood, I finally not only S-ranked it, but on my first S-rank run of this mission, I don't just get an S-rank, I get a freaking perfect score! At the time, I was in fact so insane over this, that I actually decided to pick up my microphone and record my live reaction to it. I'm going to play it for you right now. Just a warning, if you're allergic to insanity, this may kill you. Live reaction to me perfect scoring the final battle. Yes! 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 I actually did it! I actually did it! I perfect scored the final battle! Yes! Yes! I never thought I'd do that. Oh my god, I actually did it! You probably can't see how widely I'm smiling right now. Yes! Yes! Finally! S-rank perfect score! Yes! Take that final front! Oh, thank you and good night.